Yeah, absolutely.
It's not safe.
Get back! Get back now!
Welcome back. It's another day here on the Darling Downs, just walking the dog. Today's video is going to be particularly gloomy. I want to talk a bit about the Alice Springs riots. Most fellow Aussies will already have heard what's happening. It's everywhere in the news at the moment. It's been a situation developing over the past 48 hours, well, the last week, but the chaos that's ensued is, last 48 hours. For those of you overseas, I'll do a quick rundown of the situation. Those of you who don't know about Alice Springs, it's a town located right in the center of Australia. If you think of remote desert regions, the outback, that's Alice Springs. If you take a map of Australia and you place the dot right in the center, that's Alice Springs. Alice Springs every now and then comes up in the news, and usually not for very good reasons. It is a town that by far has Australia's highest crime rate. The Northern Territory as a whole is in an entire league of its own when it comes to all different sorts of crime, but particularly Alice Springs is right at the head of that. So, all right, now let's go into the situation. What happened? So last weekend, I'm just giving a quick recap here. I want to clarify some few things before I start. I am by no means an expert on this situation. I've never been to Alice Springs. I've never even been to the Northern Territory. So there's people who know this stuff way better than me. I'm just one person sharing his opinion. I don't intend to speak for anyone involved. I don't intend to speak for any group of people. I'm just sharing my own opinion. So that's all that's here. There's nothing else to say on that. So the situation is, there was a 5-year-old girl that disappeared from her community out there, and then of course that naturally triggered a massive search operation. This is the part that has not been reported as much, but entire communities came together to search for this girl, and just a few days ago now, they found her body. She was murdered. And another thing I forgot to mention, Alice Springs, it has a high concentration of Indigenous people all across the Northern Territory. Of course, there's many different communities located out there, and especially in Alice Springs, there's a lot of different Indigenous communities that live around that region. So in one of those communities, this girl she disappeared, and then they found her body. She was murdered. But what the media wasn't reporting was how all people from all different backgrounds came together to mount a massive search and rescue operation. But they found her, and she had been murdered. Now, there was one suspect, another Indigenous man, that allegedly murdered this girl, and police, of course, went to go to apprehend him. But before police could get to him, several of the folk around the town had already got to him, and let's just say they beat the shit out of him, and by the time police got to him, he was already critically injured. Now, that's not a shock at all considering what was at stake, but basically he was taken to the Alice Springs hospital, and then outside hospital there was a big crowd of Indigenous people were gathering outside the Alice Springs hospital, and they pretty much wanted him to be taken out, and they wanted him to receive traditional punishment according to their own customs. They basically wanted payback, right? He allegedly did that murder, which I don't know all the details of this, okay? I don't know all the details, so that's why I'm saying it in that way. There's all this legal stuff, so that's why I'm saying it in that way, all right? But anyway, they're pretty sure they found the guy, and they wanted him to be punished in the traditional way. Now, there's people with all different opinions. Some people say They should have just let, the police should have just let them have him, and yeah, okay, let him be punished in that way. They wanted to do their traditional payback punishment, which, let's be honest, if that would have happened, he probably wouldn't be alive right now, okay? And yeah, look, it's a complex situation, really, it is. I will say one thing, one contributing factor why that all happened like that is our legal system in Australia really does seem like it protects criminals. That's one thing that's clear to me. This is not just from this case, but one thing that is clear to me, based on observing several cases over the years, our legal system really seems like it protects criminals, and sentencing is way too lenient. That's one thing I'll say right now. Now, local crowd of Indigenous people gathered around the hospital, and they were basically demanding him to be taken out, right? They wanted to take him out. They wanted him to be punished then and there. Police were guarding the hospital, and basically a riot set off. Police cars were attacked, set on fire. It was all chaos. People were injured, and then there was also apparently a local server that was looted. Now, it's a complex, heightened situation. It's a very emotional situation. I mean, an incident like that would shake any community. I mean, a young girl's just been murdered, and of course, the perpetrator, like, if just think, if you're in any community, if you know that this one person has done such a heinous act, what's going to happen? He's not going to be, if he's just out in the open like that, and you know what he's done, like, it's going to cause a problem, right? And yeah, look, our legal system here, it's a joke. It's a joke. Like, you have hardened criminals that commit the most heinous crimes, and they just get a slap on the wrist. That's a real problem. It's a real problem that needs to be addressed. And I would say there's been more and more of these cases over the years where just you get a slap on the wrist, and that's probably why. Because they probably know that there is no way that this alleged killer is going to receive a harsh enough sentence. So that's probably one contributing factor to this. But at the same time, I also understand the other perspective. People who say, well, it has to be innocent until proven guilty. We have to uphold that principle. And also people that say we can't have different legal systems in Australia. We have to stick to the rule of law, and he has to be put on trial and sentenced according to that. I understand that perspective as well. I understand both sides. I have mixed feelings about this. Part of me does just think, why not let them have him? Like, there is definitely a layer of hypocrisy here. Like, from the government, right? From councils, from governments. Like, there's definitely a layer of hypocrisy, because on one hand, they tell us that we need to listen to Indigenous people more, we need to listen to their perspective. And then on the other hand, a case like this comes up when they just throw it out the window, and they basically are spending all these police resources to protect one man, an alleged killer. And yeah, then it just causes a bunch of ruckus and chaos like that. But at the same time, I understand that the principle of innocent until proven guilty, I 100% believe that that's a good principle to uphold. Like, even though, like, yes, I would say our legal system is a complete joke, especially when it comes to its implementation, but fundamentally, like Western legal systems, especially the principle of innocent until proven guilty, I will say that it's a good principle to build a legal system on. But definitely the implementation, the sentencing, that has to change. It has to change. Like, I am in full support for the most heinous of crimes, which I'm not even going to name, but you can imagine this is one of those sort of cases, right? All these, the most heinous crimes, I believe capital punishment is a suitable punishment for that. Yeah, I believe that 100%. I support bringing back capital punishment for some of these sorts of people. Yep. So that's the situation, basically recapped. I 100% I support people's right to protest. I understand why the local community is furious. Any community would be. I mean, just put yourself in their shoes for a second. If something like that happened in your community, because it's just remember, these are remote regions. These are small communities. It's like I live in a small country town here. If some incident like that happened, the perpetrator's right there, what's gonna happen? It would be utter chaos, and that would, I don't know, it would probably be on the news. Like, let's just be honest. But look, these sort of things unfortunately do happen more in certain regions, and Alice Springs is a hotspot for some of those sort of incidents. It's a mess. This whole situation's a mess. And yeah, look, there's no easy fix. There's no easy solutions. Everyone's pointing fingers at who's to blame. This is indicative of a wider, more complex problem. So yeah, that's pretty much all I need to say on this topic. It's an evolving situation, so I apologize if I've got some of the facts wrong. We will know more as more information comes out. One more thing I wanted to add though. So yes, I support people's right to protest. I understand why they're angry, but when it gets to the point of rioting and causing damage to public property and all that, I 100% support police in quelling that. I 100% support police response to clamp down on riots. 100%. When a protest escalates into a riot and there's all this violence, 100% I support police. And look, to the people that looted the servo, what a disgusting thing to do. This heinous crime has taken place, and some people then use that as an excuse to go into a servo, steal stuff, go looting, and just get yourself a new electronics and new television and all that. What a disgusting thing to do. What disgusting individuals who just use a tragic situation like this as an excuse to just go looting and steal stuff. It's just, yeah, disgusting. Like, yeah, if you commit a crime like that, like a heinous crime like that, there needs to be proportional punishment. And if you're using a situation like this to go looting, 100% you need to be charged and punished as well. But unfortunately, it is true. Our legal system is a joke, especially when it comes to sentencing. Our sentencing is way too lenient. We need to have harsher sentencing again. And yeah, this is a complex situation. Many people, especially overseas, don't understand really what's going on. But because look, Australia is, you only really hear, especially overseas, you only really hear about the major cities. What's going on in Sydney? What's going on in Melbourne? What's going on in Brisbane? All these places. Australia's population, of course, is very urbanized, very centralized. Vast majority of the population lives within a short distance from the coast and in the major capital cities. But especially overseas, most people don't understand what is going on in remote regions. Even in Australia, people from the major cities don't understand what's going on in rural and remote regions. And look, I'm by no means an expert. I've never been to Alice Springs or the Northern Territory, but I have traveled to places that many people have not been. I've been to Far West Queensland, I've been to Far West New South Wales, I've been through some Indigenous communities out there. And look, I've worked with Indigenous people, I know some Indigenous people. So yeah, I would say I understand their perspective more than most, but also you can't just paint whole groups of people with one brush here. You need to also understand that among Indigenous Australians there is vast differences across the country. It's like you go to Europe, right? You have all these different countries, all these different languages in Europe. I'm just using this as an example you can understand. Saying for instance that a Russian is the same as an Englishman, or a Spaniard, or a Norwegian is the same as an Italian. It's just look, there might be certain commonalities among Europeans, but of course different countries, different languages, different customs. Saying that they're all the same is just ridiculous. It's the same with Indigenous Australians. They had so many different, hundreds of different languages and different customs. Trying to paint them all with one brush it's not fair. It's not. painting any group of people with one brush, it's not fair. Like, I've worked with Indigenous people, so some of the nicer people I've met have been Indigenous, Aboriginal Australians. So yeah, I don't like seeing people who try to paint them all the same. And look, there's real problems. We can't ignore the fact that among Indigenous communities there are real problems. We can't ignore the fact. There's problems with that, and there's problems with the way the government responds. I will say this, the biggest problem in this country overall is not what's going on within Indigenous communities. The biggest problem in this country is government. It's government responses to certain problems, especially problems of this nature. So, and also, of course, our legal system. Like, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It's a horrible, sad, disgusting situation, especially what happened to that girl. And unfortunately, like, in situations like this, very quickly the victims are forgotten. Like, in this case, that little girl, she's the victim here of an absolutely horrific crime. And of course, naturally, people are furious, people are angry. But yeah, it's just very quickly, I think what happens is it escalates out of control. The victims themselves are sort of brushed aside, and then it just escalates from there. People get angry, and more people get hurt. It just causes a bunch of anguish and strife. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to go on with this, but yeah, it's just it's an extra video for today. I just wanted to share my opinion on this because it's horrific. It is. So yeah, that's that. I'll see you all in the next one.
What we saw last night was disgraceful behaviour. Fair enough, we need to call it out. However, it was only a minority that engaged in that behaviour. The standard of behaviour that we've seen from the Alice Springs community, the standard that we stand by, is the cooperation and the collaboration that we've seen from everyone in Alice Springs over the last 4 days in the search for Kumanjai little baby. What I'm here to say today is to continue that standard of cooperation and collaboration. We're going to hear soon from the traditional owners.
All week, the community of Alice Springs come together, service providers, business owners, searching for a little lady, a little baby that was taken by a monster. And that hard work was undone last night by some people who were very angry with the systems.